Hello, my name is Marcus, and welcome back to the channel. The Toy Story franchise for me is just it's kind of insane. Like, I kind of grew up with it. Came out in 1996, and I was about 8, 9 years old when it came out, about the same age as Andy. So I essentially grew up with these films. So Toy Story 3 was kind of the perfect ending for me. Let me get Toy Story 4. I was kind of skeptical at first, but it ended up being a glorious experience. Toy Story 5, again, I was definitely skeptical at first, but me and Faith went to go see it earlier today, and I can calmly state that as long as Tim Allen and Tom Hanks are willing to continue to create these films, as long as Disney is willing to tell these stories surrounding these toys, I'm going to be front line and center every single time. It's just how it is, man. As setting aside all of the political corporation agenda that people have, this fascination of Disney, just scrounging every dollar from their consumers. This is one of those franchises that I believe that, it's almost like people like to separate their love for Toy Story outside of the realm of Disney. It's just that special to a core group of society. No matter what Disney is doing within their own corporation, the story of Woody and Buzz and Jesse and all the gang of toys, that's always going to hold a special place in the heart and the soul of the kids from the 90s and the early 2000s. It's just those stories of us growing up and playing with our toys, and then growing up and, either donating those toys or getting rid of them, having like a sense of viewership from the toys perspective, except me, because I'm crazy, because I went and started a YouTube channel specifically focusing on action figures. So apparently I never grew up. Could you imagine if like there was a Toy Story like perspective from my collection of toys that I have here? Holy crap. They would take over. They would take over the world. But I'm not joking. So for me, this franchise will always have just a soul capturing, like it hits my psyche specifically. Like it's just something that Disney has done over the course of 30 something years now that I'm just so gracious for. So happy that not only did I get to enjoy it within my own childhood, now, I took my 9-year-old daughter to go and experience these stories with me today. It's almost like kind of like the same thing as Dragon Ball. Like I grew up with Dragon Ball, and now I get to share those experiences with my own child. Same thing, like I literally grew up with Toy Story, and now I get to share those experiences with my own child, to kind of to give her those early childhood memories to replicate, the sensitivity, the speciality of the franchise, that it is so near and dear to all of our hearts. I know I've seen so many takes on Facebook and Reddit and Instagram on this one. So first off, if you clicked on this video, I don't really have much to say about the story. The story, it's Toy Story. It's centered on Jessie, on how like her sense of abandonment is reoccurring because Bonnie gets an iPad. She gets technology. So technology is the core bad guy of the film, but not really though. It's kind of more so like just an explanation of this is the reasoning why kids of today's generation are not playing with toys, and they're only playing with technology. I'm guilty of this. My own family, like my daughter, like her core childhood experiences has been with technology. We tend to limit the time on the technology from here to here, but from the vast majority of her childhood, that she played with dolls and toys maybe when she was a lot younger. But it is true, and so it's kind of funny how the story kind of resonates with a lot of the core American households of 2026. You play with those toys when you're younger, but once you reach about 7 or 8, especially 9, 10, dude, the toys are put away. And the only thing you're really playing with is the technology. Even I'm guilty of this. Even during my childhood, like I played with action figures when I was a younger kid, but once I got the Nintendo 64, the Super Nintendo in my hand, it was kind of a wrap. So it wasn't until I reached my adulthood that I rekindled my relationship with action figures and started this YouTube channel. So just kind of seeing it from Pixar's perspective and replicating it of how it happened in my own childhood and in my daughter's still ongoing childhood, it grips the soul in a way that only I've only witnessed Pixar and Disney be able to tell, to try to reach the heartstrings of so many American families and just worldwide families in general. Of course, we were all wondering how the heck Woody got back with the toys. As we know, at the end of Toy Story 4, his mission with Bo Peep was to discover and rescue forgotten toys. That mission is still ongoing, but the story is able to explain in a way for him to set aside the mission for a specific jurisdiction so that he can come back and help the toys from Andy that got given to Bonnie, to help save them from the tech, so that they're not lost and forgotten as well. So that's explained. So I was definitely questioning that within the trailer. So the movie does a good job of explaining that. Of course, with Woody's development, his story is kind of have been told at this point. Like, he's there, but he's definitely not the central avenue of the story. It's more so Jesse and Buzz than Woody at this point, which I can appreciate that, because definitely Toy Story 4 definitely centered on Woody and Bo Peep, where Toy Story 5 definitely centers on Jesse and Buzz. So, I mean, the thing about Woody in this one, like, you take off his hat. Of course, you've seen in the trailer, he's got a bald head. He's getting older. He's got that kind of that beer gut going on as well. It's pretty funny. So, like I said, we grew up with these characters. I'm feeling it too. I'm going bald myself. That's why I wear this cap. If you didn't know. Got a little beer gut going on here. Like, hey man, listen, stuff happens. What are you gonna do? It's life. The focus on Buzz in this story is just him wanting to integrate his feelings onto Jessie, to let her know his affections for him. Which, I mean, they've been teasing this relationship for like 30 years. So to finally see it hit a fruition of completion, not necessarily a completion, but a new beginning. I'm seeing Buzz like kind of like, hey man, this is how I feel. This is how I'm feeling. So I mean, are you feeling the same way? Let me know. You want to build this life together, even though they're just toys. But but it's cool just to see it from their perspective. I can definitely appreciate that, seeing a relationship kind of build. Y'all know I'm a romantic. I can add heart. That's never going to change. So seeing that love from the two of them finally kind of reach a conclusion in a certain perspective, that was definitely like a core childhood memory that put a smile on my face for sure. Like you're saying, we do here. I don't like getting too deep into the story here. Essentially, we tackle the issue of cyberbullying as well, and the lily pad, which is kind of portrayed as the antagonist in this film, unknowingly helps contribute to that bullying. So, of course, like the core goal of all of the toys is to help the child's development, to help the child grow, to become the child's best favorite toy or whatnot. So once this realization of cyberbullying has occurred, it's almost like the lily pad wants to throw itself away. So then that's when all the toys and Jesse and Buzz and Woody, they all come together to help the lily pad realize, like, hey, our core mission is the child's happiness. So we need to come together, and we need to fix the issue and help her make a friend. That's another huge theme around this film as well. It's just children making friends, which, I don't know, man, in 2026 does seem to be an issue in a lot of us. I can only speak from an American household perspective, but it does seem to be an issue in a lot of American households where it's harder for children to make friends because they're just interacting with each other through a digitized space instead of interacting with each other face to face. But I feel like it's on the parents not to, this is not a parenting course. I feel like it's on the parents to integrate the children into specific activities to where you're face to face and interacting with other children face to face, like sports, dance, acting, just core normal children activities, aside from the technology that forces them to be integrated with one another, to help develop the mind further, to help their communication skills, to help their personality skills, outside of a technological realm. The technology is great. It's the only reason I'm talking to you here today. I built an entire ecosystem with this technology is fantastic. But when it comes to real life, when it comes to raising our children and pushing society forward, we still have to have those human to human interactions to make sure that the proper communication skills is developing properly to push society further. Does that make sense? Because I see, especially when I be at the Comic Cons and the cosplay competitions and whatnot, there's a lot of people that I interact with where I'll strike up a conversation like, hey, blah, 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 your cosplay is cool. And then they don't even know how to talk. I mean, it's been countless times where I have experienced this, where it is detrimental that we as parents, teach our children to talk per se, communicate per se. And with technology, like I said, it's great, but it doesn't teach kids, specifically at a younger generation, 8, 9, and 10, to speak. You can type, but you can't speak. So the movie does a great job of expressing that through the eyes of Bonnie. She's super shy. She's afraid that people are not going to appreciate her. It's a whole lot to take in. It's a whole lot to experience. It's a perspective that I feel like the vast majority of households of today's society really need to experience, man. That's why this movie is blowing up like it is. It's so important that we just have those human to human interactions to further our development. Even as a 38-year-old man, I mean, I'm still growing, still developing through my interactions with my fellow man, with my fellow woman. I had to stop myself. I don't even know what I'm going to title this video. Is this a review? I don't know. This is more just a freaking diagnostic of a soul-searching, heart-searching, just self-deprecation of my own psyche of witnessing this film and portraying it through my eyes to you guys, the audience. But that's the genius of Pixar. That's when Pixar is at its best. Like Soul, Up, all the Toy Stories, Wall-E. It goes so much further than just the ground level story. Okay, the Bonnie sad, she's trying to make friends. So they're utilizing Jessie to help her make friends. Lily Pad's in the way. Okay, that's the ground level. But it's so much of a deeper layer of understanding that needs to be understood to push the plot forward. And that deep down, I feel like, is the beauty of Toy Story, why it resonates with the audience so passionately. It's so much deeper than and that's every Toy Story. That's every story of these toys. That's why it's so good, man. It's so good. I'm not saying Oscar level, but shoot, man. I feel like I've gone deeper in this one than any other movie I've talked about this year. This is such a deeper meaning of understanding with these stories that Pixar has told across generations. And it's special. It really is. I'll tell you what, though, I'm not going to hold you off forever. I mean, if you're still here with me, thank you. Go ahead and get subscribed, man. We don't do soul-searching diagnostics like this on a regular basis, but when the passion, when something I've been following since I was a child, grips my soul, grips my heart, that's what we do here. We're going to talk about it. So at the end, the conclusion, Bonnie ends up finding her best friend. She ends up making friends around the kids with the neighborhood, and they ended up kind of reaching back into the core center of their childhood of playing with toys, just to utilize their imagination. Woody goes back to his mission. Jessie has a newfound appreciation of Bonnie and Blaze, the new kid that they ended up meeting, and helping them get together to become best friends, to actually play with toys and utilize their imagination instead of utilizing the technology. It's kind of an unrealistic aspect of real life. The majority of households is not going to revert back to toys, especially when they hit 9 and 10. But just to see that happy ending within the toys, and to see the further continuation story of these characters that we have grown to love over the past 30 years will never not put a smile on my face. Y'all know I'm a Disney guy. That's never going to change. And Toy Story, The Lion King, Wall-E, The Incredibles, the Disney princesses, believe it or not, Tiana, Belle, these are the core centric characters that continue to revitalize that passion that keeps not only us coming back to the movie theater over and over and over again, but it keeps us coming to the Disney parks over and over and over again, because the core central values that is represented in these movies and these TV shows is vital, I believe, to a child's development. Whether you want to believe it or not, I know it's a lot of propaganda, Disney, that a lot of people like to push, but for me personally, I was raised on the Disney Renaissance. I'm a 90s kid, so I was raised in the beacon of like Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, Toy Story, The Lion King, Aladdin. So to be able to take that same knowledge and push and help push it forward within my own journey of fatherhood, to make sure that my daughter has those same core values of passion, peace, respect, respect of your fellow man, and just being able to communicate in a way that will only progress her life forward. That's such important that I feel like it's lost in the realm of society that a lot of people don't like to admit today. But I feel like, but then with this film, Disney does a good job of pushing the message forward. They're like, hey man, it's life is hard. Life is hard. But if we work together, if we can find a common balance of like a yin and yang, maybe we can help push ourselves forward to progress further in society. And I think I'll end it there. Like I said, I don't know, is this a review? Probably not. I guess if I had one goal with this video, it was just to talk about the core passionate understanding of Toy Story and why it means so much to me and millions upon millions of people across the world, truly. So if you enjoyed my take, do me a favor, hit that like button. I really appreciate that. If you want to see more content like this, Disney content, get subscribed, man. I have been a Disney guy my entire life. I've been taking my family to Disney World, Disneyland, the Disney Cruise Line for the past 20 years now at this point. So if you're interested in this type of content, get subscribed. You can follow me at youtube.com/marjake79. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. As always, my friends, thank you guys for the years of support, and I will see you all on the next one. I'll catch y'all later. Bye.